Hey, 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 hey. God bless you. It's Wednesday night. You know, it's our Wednesday. You know, I told you earlier, it's the WINSDAY. It's the Wednesday on Wednesday. And we get a chance to come together tonight and have what I call straight talk. I'm Pastor Tabatha C. Whitten. I'm so super excited to greet you tonight in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I'm super excited to have this extended conversation on family. So this is what I need for you to do right now. I need every person to help me go north, south, east, and west. You know how we do that? You just share, hit share, because this is the straight talk conversation. And I believe that as it is with so many things in life, we struggle to approach them or to address them, and then they usually alter what I will call the well in our lives, in our soul. So tonight, it's straight talk. It's the soul session with Pastor Tabatha C. Whitten, and I want to talk tonight about legacy planning. I want you to know that everything in life that matters, we take time to plan. And I want to say to you tonight, as certain as we are living, we're going to have situations where we're going to have to deal with death. And we've got to begin to have conversations so that we can properly plan, so that we can reduce the pain. One more time, north, south, east, and west. Help me to contact every person that we can, because this is the night for promotion, demotion, and termination. It is to upgrade some mindsets. It is to reduce some things to their proper place, and it is to get rid of some things altogether. If you don't have coverage, this is your night. If you're not covered by the blood of Jesus Christ, this is your night. If you're not covered and your family's not covered, if you don't have any sense of life insurance, we've got to deal straight tonight. We got to talk about it, because there are things that are going on in our community that is causing us to have too many issues as it relates to the cost. And so let's keep the dignity in our community, and let's take the time to plan our legacy. I like that. Yes. I am super excited to have with us tonight our guest, Takara McCall. Is that right, Takara?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right, good deal. Takara is I'm going to call you the licensed insurance agent. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to call her the life servant that's going to assist us in having this conversation, because it's no fluff, it's nothing formal, but it is to really try to push us to thinking about the reality of the things that we need to deal with. And so, my sister, would you just pronounce your name again correctly, and then tell us just a little bit about you. I know you from this great city, but tell us a little bit about you and this topic that we're going to address tonight.
Well, my name is Takara McCall. She said it right.
Takara.
Which most people don't get right. I get Tarika a lot. But,
Oh, God.
Takara McCall, I am a licensed insurance agent with the state of Texas. I work for Lloyd Agencies, and I just believe that it is time for our people to prepare and be ready. And I was born and raised, and she said, talk about yourself. Okay, I'm getting all off into it. Okay, I was born and raised here in Houston, Texas. I graduated from Cashmere Senior High School.
What?
And yes, and I have always had a heart for our people. So I guess that is why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Okay, good deal. So when we start talking straight talk, one of the things that I mentioned is families or parents have a difficult time dealing with certain topics.
Yes.
When we start talking about sex,
Mm.
how many parents can honestly say, "Oh, I didn't know how to address that topic"? Start talking about drugs in our community. How many people honestly can tell the truth and say, "I just didn't know how to have that conversation"? And I think as is with sex and drugs, so is with death
Yes.
and the proper, what I will call preparation for such. And we know we're going to die. I mean, we have living proof.
Mm-hmm.
Every person that's watching me has someone that has moved from time into eternity.
Yes.
All of us. And so it's a reality that we must address with our own lives. And so in having this straight talk, we've been talking family all month in June. All month June, we talk family. Single families, I was about to say divided families. Ain't no divided families. Blended families,
Yes.
Just marriages, just talking about what builds a solid family. And so we can't holistically talk about families without talking about planning what happens next.
Right.
And I asked you, offset, why do you think we struggle with having conversations about what happens next?
The main reason that our people have a problem is because they don't want to discuss it because it's taboo. They feel like if you talk about it, then it's going to bring it about. But that's not the case. We need to be prepared.
We need to be prepared. Okay.
Sure as you live, you will die.
Wow. Now that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
There's a season.
For
Come on,
everything.
for everything. And so don't get antsy tonight. Say, oh, I don't want to hear that. You need to hear this because you may be the person that we're trying to encourage to spare your family some unnecessary stress. If you are a parent, if you are a grandparent, if you are a working individual, if you are a non-working individual, every person needs to take a moment to consider their life, their legacy, and where they are in planning for what happens next. At what point, when we start talking about being covered, what exactly does that mean? We start talking about life insurance. What does life insurance, what does that mean and what does that cover?
Life insurance covers you not only in death, but also in life. It just depends on the kind of policy that you purchase. But life insurance makes sure that your family does not have the added stress after the burden of you passing away to have to come up with funds to bury you.
Stop right there. Stop right there. I want to ask you, how many people have had someone to die in your family? I'm talking about someone up close. I'm not talking about those distant relatives, even though that creates a stress as well. How many people watching tonight, right now, can honestly say, my relative passed and we had to figure out a way to raise some funds to get them buried, to get them to have a homegoing celebration? What a stress it must be to have to think about trying to raise funds and then trying to put a celebration together in that person's honor.
Right.
So how many people, I want to ask you, how many people have ever had a loved one to pass and you didn't have the cash or you didn't have the funds to bury them? This is why making this conversation alive and dealing with this subject matter is so important. Because when we start talking about someone passing and they're not covered, then that is a stress for who?
For the family.
For the family.
For the mama, for the mama, for the auntie, for the cousins,
For everybody.
for everybody.
The neighborhood.
The neighborhood.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you think that we don't talk about life insurance because it's taboo or because in the church community, those of us that are full of faith, the Lord's going to take care of us. He's got the Lord got a plan. That's God's business. No, that's your business. Your business. And this is why he has you tonight chimed in, because I believe what he's saying to you is get your house in order. I know that sounds like a hard word, don't it? But I believe he's saying get your house in order. I think that's a good word. You know why? Because it's saying you have time and you get to make the plan. You get to set your house in order.
Yes.
You get to determine what the order of your life is or what the mark or what the memory of your life is. And I think that starts with planning
Yes.
this, what we call in legacy. Okay, so who should be covered?
Everyone.
Everyone. And why should everyone be covered?
Everyone should be covered because everyone is going to die.
Wow. So everyone, like my newborn baby and my great-grandmother, or everyone?
Everyone. From day 3, I believe it's day 3, you can insure your baby.
Okay. So if you're a parent and you have a newborn child, things happen. Let's talk about a few things that we know could happen with just children.
what is it, instant death syndrome.
Okay, instant death syndrome.
Um, a baby can get sick, a baby can get the flu and die, in all of these diseases, COVID, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to cover our babies. Now, if you lose your child, you do not want that extra stress because we think
Wow.
that that baby has a lot of time. A lot of babies don't. A lot of babies don't. My cousin, um, baby lived for 2 months,
Wow.
and we had to plan a funeral for
Wow.
his baby. And so it's hard and it hits home really hard. But if we're more prepared, it's less stressful. I'm not going to say that it's not going to hurt. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be stressful, but it's less stressful.
Wow. I like that. Okay. So tonight we're not trying to overwhelm anyone emotionally,
No.
but we are trying to keep you from an overwhelming emotional experience.
Yes.
And so every person should be covered with some sense of life insurance
Yes.
from 3 days old until whomever.
Right.
If you are listening to me and you have children, and because they are children, we've not considered the fact that they need to be covered. We want to change that mindset tonight.
Yes.
Everyone needs to be covered. We know that teens,
Mm-hmm.
young adults,
Yes.
tell me some of the situations that create loss of life for our teens and young adults.
Car accidents, police incidents.
Wow.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Because life happens.
Life
I mean,
happens.
things just happen.
Yes.
There was a family out. I think they were on vacation at the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and the dad and the son, I think, drowned.
Mm.
So I'm just saying again, can you that's traumatic.
And I'm sorry. I don't
No, no,
mean
no, no.
The law that's passing now that anyone can carry weapons. Anyone can carry weapons. So it's a lot of emotional.
You're trying to say it nice.
I'm trying to
we
say it
saying
nice.
this is straight talk. So it's a lot of what?
A lot of people that don't have good sense out here with weapons, and the instant they get mad, that's the thing that they're going to go for. So we have to, especially our young adults, we have to protect them. We have to keep them covered, and even our babies, because they're getting hit by stray bullets as well.
Wow. That's true. That's true. So every life needs to be covered.
Yes.
And what would be a reasonable excuse, if there's such, for not having coverage?
There's no reasonable excuse.
There's no reasonable excuse.
There's no, even if you don't have a job or if you don't have income coming in, the family needs to pull together, because if anything was to happen to you, it's going to fall on your family.
I like
Your
that.
family is going to have to take care of you. So it's better to take care of you now than to have to pay dollar for dollar later. If they take care of you now, it's a small premium every month. Now, most of us do Starbucks. You can get insurance for the amount of money that you pay for 1 month of Starbucks. It's that simple. It doesn't take a lot. It's, say, for instance, okay, I'm going to use me. Say, for instance, I get a policy
Okay.
for $50,000.
Okay.
I pass away next month. I've only paid one premium, but that insurance company has to pay my beneficiary $50,000 for what? $30 that I have
Wow.
put into the policy. You're not paying dollar for dollar. So it's better to get that policy. We get insurance on our cars in case something happens. How come we can't get insurance on
now
our
let me stop
life?
right there. So when we start talking about mindset, shifting things, reducing things, and then elevating other things,
Mhm.
is your life more important than your vehicle? Wow, I never thought about it that way, because you are absolutely right. We insure the vehicle in the event that something happens. And the law is of such
Yes.
that we have to have certain kind of insurance
Mhm.
for the benefit of not your vehicle, but someone else's.
Yes.
That's good. Now y'all know I'm about to make a transfer learning. So if the law has enough sense to say that the vehicle, the motor vehicle that we use to get around from one place to the next, we should regulate a law for ourselves
Yes.
that our lives, the life that we have, should be covered as much as the vehicle. So how much insurance should we get? Let's talk about that.
You should at least get the minimum amount to bury you. Simple.
What's the and what is that? What would that include? What does that mean?
Okay. If you want to get cremated, $5,000. That's the basic, no funeral, you just cremate it. They'll give you a memorial service maybe. Now, if you want
$5,000?
$5,000.
Okay.
Now, if you want an earth burial, it starts around $10,000 and more. It just depends on the amenities that you want and that
Okay.
kind of thing. But if you don't mind being cremated, $5,000. But if you want an earth burial, the minimum would be 10.
Well, but here we are. Here we are right now saying, these are the things that we get to talk about. What if I'm a person and I don't want to be cremated? I do not want to be cremated. Let the record show. I do not
Me either.
wish to be cremated. I don't know why I'm gonna care, but in my mind, I'm gonna care. I don't want to be cremated.
Right.
But if I don't take care of what I need to take care of, that decision is not going to be made by me.
No.
And I don't have a right to be upset because that decision is not honored. When I am in a position right now, I'm talking to you right now, because again, this is not one of the conversations that we can escape. This is not one of the things that, it may be true for some people, but it's not true for my people. It's true for all of us. All of us are going to have to deal with a date that we will die. The question becomes, how have we planned for what happens as it relates to our lives? It's called planning my legacy. When my family thinks of me, I don't want my family to remember me, to remember the stress of trying to remember me.
Right.
I don't. Now, you said something very key because, again, many times, we don't deal with, or we'll say, well, I know I'm covered, but I don't know about the rest of them.
Right.
If we care about the rest of them, we need to stop or some kind of way come up with what I would call care conversation, care plan, so that, again, none of us are stressed because one of us or some of us wasn't in a position. And here's the truth. When we start talking about family and dealing with these things, the truth is sometimes things happen, and we're not in positions. I can remember when I first left my job. And no, I didn't get fired. And when I left my job to full-time ministry, it was very, very, very important to me that I had life insurance. Now, I did not have medical insurance for about a year. But if I died, I figured if something happened to me medically, I was going to have to deal with that. Even if it was a big bill, it's still going to be in my name.
Right.
But if I died, if something happened to me, I did not want the responsibility to fall on my family members. So I know that it can be a stress and it can be scary. But I also know that, as you said, anything that we really want to do, we come up with a way to do it.
Right.
And so I'm saying tonight that I want to provoke conversation. I want you to start having the straight talk. And so I asked you, how do you suggest we start having the conversation about our planning? How do we do that?
It's no ease into it. It's just straight talk. Listen, what do you have in place? What kind of plans would you like for us to do? You have to sit down and talk about these things. It's no easy way to do it. Just come right out and ask the people. Can you
She said
afford
go
it?
straight to it.
Listen.
She said you can't ease into it.
It's no easing. It's no easing. How can you ease into it?
You got to have an ease into something like this. I know you got to have an ease. You just say go straight to it.
Yes. I don't know any other way. I don't. I really don't.
Okay,
I
okay, let's practice. Okay,
okay.
I'm calling you.
Okay.
Takara,
Yes.
how you doing?
Girl, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to talk to you. I just want to know if you have life insurance.
Actually, I do.
So you saying that's how we're supposed to do it?
Yes. Yes.
Don't you think that's gonna spook somebody or send them into a frenzy?
The people that don't have it, maybe.
Wow. And they need to be in a frenzy. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes.
Wow.
It has to be some kind of shock in order for them to realize what they need to do.
Wow. Okay, so let me talk to you one more time. If you are a person who is living on a wish, living a lie, as if you're not going to one day die, I want you, for the love of your family, I want you for the, should I say, the legacy of your memory. I want you right now to start to talk to yourself first. Are you covered? Do you have what's necessary so that your loved ones will not be stressed if by chance your life would end right now? We've got to start having straight talk. We cannot. Our sister Takara said, you can't beat around the bush. It's one of the conversations we can't be afraid to have. We need to know, and we need to know what to do.
Right.
So if I talk to my loved one and I say, hey, you have insurance, and they say no, then what should I do?
You should find an insurance agent. Or you can Google it. Google it. You listen, I'm not here for me. I am here for you.
Wow.
You don't have to get insurance through me. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to educate our people. You can Google it. It's a lot of places that don't require medical examinations, but you have to be careful with them because some of them might have you have a waiting period after you purchase the insurance. You may have to wait 2 years before the policy actually kicks in. I've heard devastating stories about that as well. But make sure that you go and get a policy. Even if you can't afford a policy. We talked about the
Prepaid.
The prepaid. Get a prepaid plan.
So what is a prepaid plan? What is that?
A prepaid plan is when you pick out all of your just what you want for your services, your casket, your what
You
colors
don't think
you want, and
that's
all of
difficult? You don't think that's difficult? I'm serious.
that. Okay, now we're being straight. We're being straight.
This is straight.
My granny said, "Listen, y'all not selling no fish dinners to bury me, so let's go and get this done." She picked out her casket. She told me how many flowers she wanted around it. She told me,
Oh God, that sounds like
what
my aunt.
dress she wanted to wear, and you pay for it up front. Everything is taken care of. When you pass, your family doesn't have to worry about it. And I want to end the era of GoFundMe to bury our own people.
Wow. Wow.
And I know, and I'm not saying this, and I know a lot of people have to do this because we're not prepared. But if we go ahead and plan and prepare and get ready for this kind of thing, we don't have to ask anybody else to help us with our family.
So now you said something. You said if we go ahead and prepare, we don't have to ask anybody else. How do you address the mindset when you say if you go ahead and prepare? How do you address the mindset that, well, I won't be here, I won't have to deal with that? What would you say to that individual?
Do you love your family? Do you care about how they feel? Do you care about the debt that you're leaving them in? What kind of legacy are you leaving?
Wow. Okay, so one more time. Let's start right here with your self-talk. And I think, sometimes it's hard to tell the truth to everybody else, but it ought not be hard to tell the truth to yourself.
Right.
Okay, so are you covered? Do you have, I'm not talking about, don't talk to me about what you think your grandmother, I don't want to know about that. I don't want to know you. And I'm talking to every person that is an adult. If you're 18 years old or above now, I'm talking to you. Those of you who work, those of you who claim I'm grown. I'm talking to you now. Have you taken care of grown people's business? Grown people's business. This straight talk. Legacy
Yes.
planning.
Yes.
You get to, nobody can tell you how to wear your clothes. No one can tell you about how to wear your hair. No one can tell you about what you're going to smoke. Who are you telling about how you want things to happen if something should happen to you? Are you covered? Do you have life insurance? That's number one. Number two, our loved ones. If I'm covered, who needs to know I'm covered?
Your beneficiary, whoever you want to take care of your business once you're gone, they need to know that you have these policies. They need to know your insurance agent's name. They need to know your insurance agent's number so that if anything happens to you, they can call them and everything can be set in play.
Okay, straight talk. Straight talk one to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Am I covered? Yes, I am. This is how much coverage I have, and these are my beneficiaries. Once I'm covered, I need to communicate that to my beneficiaries.
Yes.
Well, what if I don't want them to know? Don't be trying to get rid of me. Hold on. No, no, but I'm saying, because that's
true.
I know a lot of people who it's like, don't you tell nobody, but this is for, so what if I don't want them? You should, if I don't want them to know, am I hearing you say someone should know?
Someone should know.
Okay.
And okay, like my granny has a fire safe box that she keeps all of the important paperwork in, all your insurance papers. You need to have someone that knows where that policy is.
I thought you was going to say a box. I was going to say, you know what? Your granny has really molded you. I'm like, nobody have no box. Okay. And I know somebody's probably saying policy. I mean, for these people over there, them people right there, they're probably saying, don't nobody have no papers. It's an e-file. That's what they tell me.
Yeah.
But you saying it's a file. It's something in the house.
Yes.
It's a literal. The issue is it is verification that this life is covered.
Yes.
Okay. So they need to know, and they need to know where it is.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And once they know, now, then we need to know about them.
We need to know about who?
We need to know about our family members.
Oh, yes.
We need to know about ourselves.
Yes.
We need to allow the persons that need to know about us.
Yes.
And then we need to begin to talk to our loved ones.
Right.
Let me tell you, right after my mom died, now, you talk straight talk.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens to you when you have to deal with the business of death. Death is a business.
Yes.
Something happens to you. And I'll never forget, when I asked, like, how do you ease into it or how would you approach it? I asked that because those were the kind of questions that I had before I dealt with death.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after my mom died,
Mm-hmm.
I called my dad and I said, let me ask you this. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I just need to make sure, sir, that you're covered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he said, yeah. And he said, are y'all covered? Because everybody, I think you feel funny. I mean, you kind of, when we had the little sit around the table meeting but we bought the burial plots. Now, I felt some kind of way about it. My mom was ill at the time that we took care of this. And it wasn't anticipating that, preparing for her to die.
Right.
But the truth was we knew we were all going to die, and we didn't want to not be together. Did y'all hear that? We planned. We took the liberty to say, once we are gone, this is where we would like to be.
Yes.
Okay. And so it felt a little eerie. It really did. I mean, talking to the guy and, looking at the graveyard and finding out, because it's a literal address, this is where it is. It's plot 16B and 17C. And I mean, it feels eerie. Mm-hmm. But once my mom died, it was so simple to just go over to the people and tell them that we needed to have her buried on this date, and it was just a matter of going to claim what we had already prepared. Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine, and I'm being very honest, I can't imagine what life would have been like for my mom to not have been insured and for us not to have had that burial plot. I don't know. I don't know, because I wasn't going to sell no fish. I wasn't going to sell no fish.
Listen,
I don't know.
A lot of people sit out.
And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not knocking selling fish, but I am saying that what we should be doing is preparing ourselves to not repeat the things that have not worked well for us. If we would be a community that have lived and then learn from what we've lived and live better, then our legacy, my God, it would be incredible as it relates to the mark that signifies this is the life that was here, you know. But because we just live and we just think that we're going to outlive some things or things are going to just turn around, and they don't.
Right.
They don't. So we're saying one more time, if you just clicked on it, this is your night. This is your night to figure out if you are covered, if you are prepared for the next phase of life. If something should happen to you right now, heaven forbid, but you know, all kind of things happen.
Yes.
Harvey, COVID,
Yes.
all of these things are going on. If none of those things happen, something's going to happen where we got to die. How's your family going to be once you are no longer here? We're saying you should have the conversation, straight talk with yourself. Now you playing here. You know, I know some people wear name brand shoes and don't have insurance. I'm talking to you now because I'm saying that this is that straight talk that we have to start having. I know people who got a lot of fancy stuff, but the truth is they just don't take time to consider or to remember or to be reminded. So let us serve as the reminder in your consciousness that you've got to start dealing with what happens next. So I need to talk to myself. If I need to talk out loud, talk to myself. I need to talk to the persons that are connected with any wishes as it relates to my benefits.
Right.
And then I need to find out about my loved ones' benefits.
Right.
And then we should be aware of not just what people have, but where paperwork is or
Right.
who the companies are.
Right.
So we start having those conversations. How does that help us when our loved ones die?
That helps because if you know where they have the policy at, you can contact that company right away. If you don't have any idea where they have a policy at, or even if they even have a policy, you're going to go through
You're going to do what we did with my mom, go through those. And I don't even know why, and I'm being very honest. My mom was sick, and I don't know if I had gone into a place of denial. I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't think she would die. And so I knew that her business was straight, but as it relates to where things were, we never had that conversation. And so the mad search
yes,
started.
yes,
And it is absolutely stressful
yes,
because we're talking about a person passes typically in about 7 days you have a funeral.
right,
Well, that's in our community. I know other cultures, they pass and they have funerals in 3 days.
yes,
You know what? That's probably because they prepared. You know what? No, I'm serious.
yes,
Wow. Okay, well, anyway, so the stress of trying to search through paperwork and find out, make those calls, and, determine where the benefits are, you're saying if we have conversations, if we just have straight talk conversations, then we don't have to go through that.
at all.
Okay, you don't have to go through that at all. So we talk to them, we find out who's who, where, what is, and then if they don't have enough insurance, if they don't have, let's say, at least $5,000, what should we do?
Get more insurance.
Boy, that's straight. You're a straight shooter, aren't you?
I don't know any other way.
Get more.
Get more.
Okay.
Get more. Because if you don't have enough to cover yourself, that burden is still going to be on your family to come up with the rest of the money. Because guess what? The funeral director is not going to have that service until they get all their money.
Wow.
Now, you can go on a payment plan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've heard of this before. A friend of mine's grandfather passed, and the grandmother got on a payment plan to pay for the grandfather's funeral and was paying on that funeral until she died. Then once she died, then my friend's mom had to take on that bill. So you're still leaving.
Wait a minute. Why did she have to take on the bill?
Because it wasn't paid off.
Oh, wow.
And plus she had to pay off for the grandmother as well. So it's the two. The grandmother was paying on the grandfather.
Okay.
And she wanted to
And
be next to him when she passed.
okay,
she
so wait,
started-
So the grandmother was paying on the grandfather, and the grandmother didn't have her stuff straight. Is that what I mean?
She
You say?
started her
Okay.
stuff once
Okay.
he passed.
Okay.
So she paid on that. Then once she passed away, that bill was still there. So it went on to the next person, which was the daughter.
Oh wow.
So it's that's a legacy, passing down a bill for a funeral.
That is not a legacy. That's a misery.
Exactly.
That's
So
indecency.
what kind of legacy are you leaving?
And I'm not trying to, I really want us to be thinking about this because this happens too often. I've had the misfortune, as it relates to being a pastor, dealing with families during times of loss when they don't have the funds, and your church, even if your church, was in a position to do something for one family, for every member of that congregation that does not have some sense of coverage, the ministry would go bankrupt trying to just be available for burial. So we must talk about life, and we must talk about everything that involves life, and that includes death.
Right.
And so if we're talking about making sure that we're prepared, we're covered by the blood of Jesus Christ, that our sins are forgiven, and we are clear for our next place, we've got to do the same thing as it relates to our natural lives and what happens to our earthly business once we die. Okay, so is it hard to get a policy?
I wouldn't say it's hard, but you do have to qualify for it. You have to qualify medically for most insurance policies. Now they do have.
Well, now
some-
that just created a problem for all of Joe Blow now. If we had to qualify,
Yeah.
okay. So is there no way to get an insurance policy without qualifying? What is them people? I don't want to. I mean, they colonial pens say you will never have to. They say you'll never have to answer any questions.
Right, but you better read the fine print.
Okay.
You better read the fine print. And a lot of insurance companies that say that you don't have to qualify medically, once you pass away, that's when they start qualifying you. And then when they look back into your medical history and they see something that's not, that would cause you not to qualify, then they won't pay that policy out.
So since you're saying that you have to, there are qualifications.
Yes.
Does that mean that there's a possibility that some people can't get covered?
Yes, with some companies, yes.
Okay.
So that's the time when I would say go to those that don't require you to have a medical examination.
So insurance is not the only way to ensure that there's not an issue if you die.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to say that at least $5,000, you say, will at least make sure that your family's not stressed, at least. If $5,000 is an issue, or if qualifying is an issue, then there are mortuaries in every community.
Yes.
And again, we're talking straight talk. You need to get over and begin to have the talk with that funeral director so that you can begin to take the stress off of your family.
Right.
You've said tonight that everyone should be covered,
Yes.
babies and all.
Babies and all. 'Cause
Jesus.
we don't know the day or the hour. We don't.
Okay. And in the event that you don't have funds, I mean, how do you, if a person doesn't have any money, say a person is not employed,
Right.
what do you suggest for that individual or that family?
To talk to the family, for the family to come together and get a policy for that person. Because either it's a monthly fee now or a huge lump sum later.
Wow.
Because either way, it's going to fall on the family.
Wow.
And if you wait for the county, if you think the county is going to bury you, the county still requires money.
Okay. So there is no way to get around someone being responsible.
Right. No.
And so when just anyone is responsible, then It could be something that you don't necessarily desire.
Right.
And so you get to decide what happens to you when you die.
Right.
Boy, that happens. That's true all the way around. I get to decide if I'm going to be with Jesus forever, or if I'm going to be a forever tragic memory in my family's mindset.
Right.
I get to make those decisions. Okay, so tell me how we can get in touch with you. How, because these are personal policies, so it's not just a one policy, one fits all.
No, it's not a blanket policy. So I will customize a policy for each and every person that contacts me. We also offer packages with some no-cost benefits as well. And with my company, I have to say this, it's exclusive to our company. We have a freedom of choice certificate, which means that it's a legal binding contract, and you take this contract. Oh wait, I have one. This right here. So this is a legal binding contract. It's like cash in hand. You take this to the funeral director. You negotiate the price of your loved one's funeral. You write it on the back. You never tell the funeral director how much the policy is.
Say that one more time, really slow.
Never, ever, ever tell the funeral director how much your policy is. Once you let them know how much your policy is, they shoot your prices up of the funeral. You don't want them to know that. So never tell them that.
Tell them you're paying out of pocket.
Exactly. You negotiate the price of the funeral. You write it on the back. You hand this to the funeral director. This is like a check. The funeral director will call this number on the front. Once they call the number, they will receive their money within 24 to 48 hours. Once the funeral director receives their money, your beneficiary will receive their money within 4 to 5 business days. Now, this is exclusive to our company. Most insurance companies legally have up to 6 months before they can pay out the benefits. But the funeral director is not going to wait 6 months to allow you to have the services. They want their money up front. So this is why most people get policies with us, because they get their money faster through us.
Okay. And so is there such thing as having too much life insurance?
Never.
Really?
Never. Because a lot of us have debts. We have houses to pay for. We have cars to pay for. That money can be used to pay off your cars, pay off your houses. It can be used as income protection for your family. You can use that. If you're the breadwinner of the family and you pass away, what is your family going to do once you're gone? They're going to need that income. So that money can be used as the income that's missing now that you're gone.
Huh, okay. So it's not too much. We ought to at least have $5,000. That will at least eliminate stress in terms of knowing something can happen with our loved one at their death.
Yes.
Everyone should be covered.
Everyone.
Babies. So, you godparents who are possibly considering gifting some things, maybe a policy.
Yes.
Maybe for those that are considering how to best be a blessing to your family member, maybe we take out, giving them these expensive shoes and these gifts that really have depreciated value once it exchanges, once it leaves our hands to theirs. Maybe we start doing things like policies. Maybe we start considering how our lives can be lived and how our debts can be experienced differently. Someone once said to me, it really broke their heart to lose their loved one, but it didn't break their bank. I know that dollars don't mend a broken heart.
Right.
But they sure can help you to, keep going.
Yes.
They really can. And Is it wrong to consider not just trying to make sure I'm not a burden for my family, but to make sure that I'm a blessing for my family? Is that wrong?
No, that's not wrong at all.
You said you think that other cultures and ethnicities, it's a practice in their communities.
It is. They start their children at young ages with these policies. And if you get a whole life policy, it locks in your premium at that age. So say, for instance, you purchase a premium for a child that's 5 years old. A whole life policy, um, it locks in that premium, which will probably be about $7 or $8 a month. For the rest of their lives, they will only pay $7 or $8 a month. Now, if you wait till you up in age, my age, how old am I? 47, 48.
Why you acting like you confused?
Listen, 'cause but once you wait till you're up in age, the policies goes up, which means it's more of a burden on you. Well, most of the time it's not a burden because we make money for whatever we want to do. But the policies are higher, the premiums are higher. So back to what you were saying. They get their children the policies while they're young. Once the children graduate, they use that cash value from that whole life policy to purchase their children a car or to pay for the children's colleges or just to do whatever the child wants to do with that money.
So many benefits is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
So real quickly, explain to me, because I know the popular term in our community is term life.
Right.
Term and whole. Can you explain the difference between a whole life policy and a term life?
Okay. So I'll start with the term life. For term life, most people get because they can get more policy amount for a smaller premium. But the thing about a term is it's for a limited amount of time. So say, for instance, you had a 10-year term policy. It's only for 10 years. At the end of that 10 years, if you want to renew that policy, you have to renew at your new age, 10 years older.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a higher policy, a higher premium. A term life does not gain cash value as well. And it does not lock in your
rate.
Yeah, your rate. Now, a whole life is good for your whole life. It locks in your premium, it locks in the age, it locks in your medical history, and it gains cash value. Now, with our company, it gains cash value at 4.5%. And what that means is the premiums that you pay earn 4.5% interest. So that's like a savings account that you have to the side that you can borrow against at any time.
Don't say borrow against. Don't say borrow against. See, that's where we get messed up. I'm sorry. Okay. So okay.
So, but you have access to that money if something
Don't
important was to come
Don't
up.
say it. Because we want to leave that money alone.
Yes, you do want to leave that money alone, but it's there if you need it.
Okay.
And you can use that as a life benefit instead of just thinking of it as a death benefit.
That's good. That's good. So the whole idea is that we're in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the driver's seat. You get to drive the car where you want to go. You get to get on the bus that's going in the direction to the destination that you want to go to. I would teach in my purpose-driven life class that life is driven by something. Mm-hmm. We have to determine what's driving our life. And when we decide that where we desire to go is not on the bus that is driving us, we get to make a decision to get off and get on another bus. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping tonight that somebody has been considering how you are driving your life. Are you in the driver's seat? If you've taken no action, if you're not planning, then you are being driven, but you are not driving. I'm saying tonight, you get to drive. You get to determine if you want to be a blessing to your family. You get to determine if you want your family stressed should something happen. You get to determine if you're going to be responsible or irresponsible. You get to decide. We said this straight talk, right?
Yes.
No easy way to address this. But head on, the issue becomes, are you covered? Do you have life insurance? Something happens to you right now. Now I'm not even talking about the benefit to your family. I'm just talking about not being a burden to your family. Do you have at least $5,000 to make sure that should something happen, when something happens, you are good? If you don't, then tonight is the night for you to say, I don't want to go out like that. I'm going to tell you, don't impress people when you're living. That's going to be so, what if you're not impressed, what would you be? Disgusted. Don't impress people in your life and disgust people in your death. I'm saying tonight, my sister McCall, Miss McCall, Takara can help you. Takara, would you tell them how they can make contact with you? Because I'd love for you, if you don't have coverage, I'd love for you to make contact. I'm gonna contact her. She said I can't have too much insurance. I'm on by way of principle because I want to turn the tide for how my family lives, for how we experience death. And I do. I told you my niece, they asked me, can I have this when you die? I mean, I want us to get the spooky out of it, and I want them to know that Amy's going to leave you something when I'm not here.
Right.
I don't want them to just be sad that I'm gone, but I want to do something to cause them to be better because I've been here.
Right.
So Takira, I want you to give them your contact. Would you give them your contact number, your email, or how we can contact you for more information and assistance with beginning to plan our own legacies?
Okay. Y'all can contact me by mobile. My number is 713-824-9059. And you don't have to worry. We can do it by Zoom. I can come to your house. I like to come to your house because I like the personal interaction. But we can do it by Zoom if you want me to customize you a policy. And you can also reach me by email, Tekera.Lloyd. That's TEKERA.LLOYDAGENCIES@gmail.com.
Now you know we ain't gonna remember all
I
that.
know,
No, I'm teasing.
I know.
We have her contact information right there, and we're gonna make sure that we continue to share this because we are absolutely very, very, very committed to helping families be their absolute best. I believe if families are gonna be their best, then they have to address all of life, and that includes death. One more time, you got to have the tough conversations. Talk to you, tell the truth to you. Don't play games because if something happens, then everybody's going to know it. Are you covered? If you're covered, make sure that it's communicated to the persons that are benefited as it relates to the things that you've put in place. Make sure that they know the companies. Make sure that they know where the policies are. Make sure that they're well informed. Once you know you're covered, once you've communicated that to your loved ones, now let's go a little bit further. Let's communicate with them. Now, are you covered? I'm good. You good? Ask them. If the answer is no, then what we want to do is we want to change that. You want to make sure that they understand. You cannot play around with this kind of thing. She mentioned earlier that we're required to have insurance on our vehicles. I say every family member tonight should begin to make it a part of your family heritage that we're going to require that all of us are covered. And you know what this is going to do? It's going to help family become family again because it says that where you may fall short, because if you lose, we all lose. It's not just one of us, it's all of us. So we become family again when we begin to reach across the aisle, support one another to make sure that in the time where life will happen, none of us are stressed in a way that we don't have to be. Yeah. I don't know if you have questions, but I would that you can inbox us. We're going to make sure that Miss McCall gets those questions, that information. We're going to make sure that we post her information so that you can be sure to reach out. I say it all the time. We support people who support us. We are about community. So let's make sure that we take care of our business. Let's make sure that you remember that you don't have to be driven. You get to drive, and you get to decide what the legacy of your life is going to be. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I know it's kind of rough, but it's going to help you. It's going to help you. Let me tell you tonight, I want to thank you for being here with us. You can support the work here at Remnant Fellowship Ministries International. It's so simple. Just go to your green screen. Just slide that scroll, that little bar. There you go. And there it is. That green one, it's RFC Houston, $RFC Houston. You can drop your Cash App right there to be a blessing to the ministry. If you don't have Cash App, ain't no problem. Just go online, www.rfchouston.org. And I know some of you don't want to go online. That's just too many buttons. Just text your gift. Text Remnant, REMNANT, to 73256. That is, we got it. Let me tell you one more time, we are so excited that we have the opportunity to not just have conversations, but to have straight conversations. And I'm praying that the straight conversation helps you to get straight. And I'm praying blessings to you and your family. And I'm praying that you never have to worry about what your legacy is going to be. Don't be driven. You drive, you decide, and you make sure that at the end of time, it is well. God bless you. We love you. Thank you so much. Don't forget to share, because somebody needs this information. Straight talk. Yeah, straight talk, so that we're not stressed when we're no longer here to talk about it. God bless you. We'll see you next time.